The invasion begins. The first ships appeared on a Tuesday. Commander Elena Reyes had been reviewing defense protocols at NORAD's Subterranean Command Center when every monitor in the facility flashed red simultaneously. Proximity alerts from deep space monitoring stations screamed in digital panic as dark objects materialized just beyond lunar orbit. "What am I looking at?" Elena demanded, her coffee forgotten on the console as technicians scrambled around her. "Unknown spacecraft, Commander," Lieutenant Park replied, fingers flying across his keyboard. "Hundreds of them. They weren't there 3 minutes ago." Elena's blood ran cold. "Any communications?" "None. They're just sitting there." The ships hung in silent formation, obsidian monoliths against the stars. Their hulls absorbed light rather than reflected it. Perfect black voids shaped like elongated diamonds. No visible engines, no recognizable technology. Within the hour, they had been designated voidborne in military channels. By nightfall, the first attack came without warning. Seattle disappeared in a flash of purple light. Not destroyed, simply gone. A perfect hemisphere carved from the Earth's surface where a city of millions had stood that morning. The crater's edges were glass smooth, as if sliced by a surgeon's scalpel. Humanity's response was immediate and futile. Nuclear missiles detonated harmlessly against invisible shields. Fighter jets vanished mid-flight. Communication networks collapsed worldwide as satellites blinked out of existence. In the chaos, Elena found herself unexpectedly promoted to lead what remained of North America's defenses after her superiors were lost in the destruction of Washington, D.C. From the emergency bunker beneath Colorado's mountains, she watched civilization crumble over 72 devastating hours. "We've lost contact with European Command," reported Captain Alvarez, his face haggard from lack of sleep. "Asian coalition forces are still fighting in pockets, but their major cities are gone. The aliens are methodically erasing all infrastructure." "Why?" Elena asked the room. "Why not just wipe us out completely?" Dr. Wei-Chan, a civilian physicist drafted into the war effort, looked up from the data he'd been analyzing. "I believe they're harvesting." He pulled up thermal imagery showing alien craft hovering over the craters where cities had stood. "They're extracting something. Minerals, perhaps, or some element we don't even recognize the value of. They're strip mining Earth, Commander, and we're just in the way." Elena stared at the footage, something clicking in her mind. They're not here for conquest. This is a resource extraction operation. We're not even the target. We're just pests to be exterminated. The realization sparked something in her, not hope, but determination. The Voidborn weren't invincible gods. They were glorified mining contractors with advanced technology, and even the most sophisticated machinery could break. "Dr. Chen, I need everything you can tell me about their technology. Weaknesses, patterns, anything." For the next 48 hours, Elena's makeshift team analyzed every piece of data from the few surviving observation posts. A pattern emerged. The Voidborn ships emitted massive energy spikes before firing their weapons, a power buildup that stressed even their advanced systems. "There's a vulnerability," Dr. Chan confirmed, pointing to energy readings. "Their weapons draw power from some kind of dimensional rift. The energy signatures indicate instability during the charging sequence, like they're briefly tearing open reality itself." "Can we exploit that?" Elena asked. "Theoretically," Chen nodded. "If we could create a counter-resonance frequency during their charging cycle, it might destabilize the entire process. But we'd need to get close, dangerously close." Hope flickered for the first time in days. "How close?" "Orbital proximity. And we'd need something to generate a specific electromagnetic pulse beyond anything in our current arsenal." Elena's eyes drifted to the facility blueprint on the wall, specifically to the section marked Cancelled Projects. Among them was Project ORPAEUS, a theoretical weapon developed during the Cold War designed to create targeted electromagnetic disturbances. The project had been abandoned for being too unpredictable, too dangerous, too perfect for their desperate situation. "Get me everything on Project ORPEUS," she ordered, "and find me anyone still alive who worked on it." They found Dr. Mikhail Petrov in a refugee camp in what remained of Denver. The 78-year-old Russian scientist had been visiting his granddaughter when the invasion began. His eyes lit up when Alina mentioned ORPEUS. "You want to resurrect my monster?" he asked, his accent thick with exhaustion and age. ORPEUS was never meant to be built. The math works, but the consequences. He shook his head. "The consequences can't be worse than extinction," Alina countered. Petrov studied her face. "Perhaps not. But you understand what you ask. ORPEUS doesn't just disrupt electronics. It disrupts the fundamental forces holding matter together. We create a resonance cascade that could tear apart anything within its radius, including whoever activates it." "A suicide mission," Alina stated flatly. "Yes, and we would need to place multiple devices in precise formation to create the necessary field strength." Alina nodded. "How many devices, and how long to build them?" "With current resources," Petrov did quick calculations, 5 devices, minimum. "Construction time." He paused. 3 days, if we cannibalize everything and work without stopping. "Then we have our plan," Alina said, standing taller. "We call it Operation Stardust." For the next 72 hours, the underground facility transformed into a desperate workshop. Scientists and engineers worked alongside soldiers and civilians. They built 5 ORPEUS devices, ugly, cobbled-together machines that hummed with ominous energy. On the 4th day, as the Voidborn continued their methodical destruction of Earth's remaining population centers, Alina addressed the 5 volunteer teams who would carry the devices into orbit using the last functioning spacecraft. "You know the mission. You know the cost," she said, looking at the determined faces before her. "Each team must position their device at the coordinates Dr. Petrov has calculated. Activation must be simultaneous and can only occur when the Voidborn ships begin their energy buildup for the next attack." She paused, feeling the weight of what she was asking. "You won't be coming back. But if we succeed, humanity will survive. The Voidborn came expecting defenseless prey. They'll leave knowing humans don't die quietly." The volunteers, scientists, pilots, and soldiers who had lost everything in the invasion, nodded silently. They understood. This wasn't about victory anymore. It was about teaching the universe that Earth exacted a price. As dawn broke over the ruins of civilization, 5 small craft lifted off from hidden locations across what remained of North America. Operation Stardust had begun, humanity's last desperate counterpunch against the stars. Alina watched them disappear into the sky, carrying humanity's final hope and history's most dangerous weapon. The Voidborn had made a critical error in their calculations. They had evaluated Earth's military capabilities, analyzed our conventional weapons, and determined we posed no threat. What they failed to account for was human ingenuity when backed into a corner. They expected surrender. Instead, they would get Operation Stardust. Part 2. Humanity's Defiance. The 5 ships of Operation Stardust ascended through Earth's atmosphere, each following a different trajectory to avoid detection. They were small, cobbled-together craft, civilian shuttles retrofitted with stealth technology salvaged from military installations. Their mission was simple yet impossible: reach specific coordinates in low Earth orbit, deploy the ORPEUS devices, and activate them precisely when the Voidborn ships began their next attack cycle. From the bunker beneath the Rockies, Commander Alina Reyes tracked their progress with growing tension. Each blip on the radar represented not just a ship, but the lives of the volunteers aboard, scientists and soldiers making the ultimate sacrifice. "Stardust 1 has reached deployment position," reported Lieutenant Park. His voice was steady despite the stakes. "Stardust 2 and 3 approaching coordinates," added Captain Alvarez. Dr. Petrov sat beside Alina, his aged hands trembling as he monitored the energy readings from the ORPHEUS devices. "The calibration is holding," he said, "but we must time this perfectly." One by one, the ships reached their positions, forming a pentagram pattern around Earth's northern hemisphere. The Voidborn fleet hovered above, their black hulls absorbing sunlight as they prepared to erase another section of humanity. "Energy surge detected in the Voidborn fleet," announced Dr. Chan suddenly. "They're beginning their attack sequence." Elena leaned forward. "All Stardust units, prepare for activation on my mark." The bunker fell silent except for the rhythmic beeping of monitors tracking the alien energy buildup. Everyone present knew the next few minutes would determine whether humanity survived or joined countless other extinct species across the galaxy. "Voidborn energy levels at 60% and climbing," Dr. Chan reported. "Stardust 5 reports a problem," Lieutenant Park interrupted. "Their positioning thrusters are failing. They're drifting out of alignment." Elena's heart sank. "Can they compensate?" After a tense pause, "Captain Wilson says they'll manually maintain position. They're venting oxygen to use as propellant, sacrificing their air to complete the mission." Elena closed her eyes briefly. "Understood. Tell them we see them." "Voidborn at 75%, Chan continued. "Attack imminent. Target appears to be the Asian Coalition emergency zone. Millions of refugees huddled in those makeshift camps." Elena gripped the edge of the console. "All Stardust units, activation in 30 seconds." The countdown began as tension built in the command center. Dr. Petrov's calculations showed they had one chance. If the ORPHEUS devices activated in perfect synchronization during the Voidborn's most vulnerable moment, the resulting electromagnetic cascade might disrupt their entire fleet. 10 seconds, Elena announced. 9, 8. On the monitors, the Voidborn ships began to glow with purple energy, preparing to erase another piece of Earth. 3, 2, 1. Activate. 5 fingers pressed 5 buttons simultaneously across the orbital pattern. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, space itself seemed to ripple. The ORPHEUS devices didn't explode. They imploded, creating what Dr. Petrov had termed dimensional inversions. Tiny tears in space-time that generated specific resonance frequencies. Alone, each would have been insignificant. Together, they created something unprecedented. A wave of distortion spread between them, forming a web of energy that collided with the Voidborn weapons during their most vulnerable charging phase. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The first alien ship twisted as though being viewed through broken glass. Its perfect black surface developed fractures leaking brilliant white light. Then it simply came apart, not in an explosion, but in a silent disintegration, breaking down into constituent particles as the fundamental forces binding it together failed. "It's working," Dr. Chan whispered in disbelief. The effect rippled through the Voidborn fleet. Ship after ship twisted, fractured, and dissolved into clouds of glittering dust. The larger vessels fought against the cascade, their hulls rippling as they attempted to adapt, but even they succumbed as the ORPHEUS effect strengthened. Within minutes, Earth's orbit was filled with a new ring of sparkling debris, the remains of what had been the most formidable invasion force humanity had ever faced. In the command center, celebrations were tempered by the knowledge of the price paid. The monitors tracking the 5 Stardust ships had gone dark. Their crews had known they wouldn't return, but their sacrifice had saved what remained of civilization. "We did it," Elena said softly, staring at the screens. "They did it." Dr. Petrov nodded gravely. "Yes, but at what cost? The ORPHEUS effect will have consequences. We have torn the fabric of space in our desperation." His warning proved prophetic. Within hours, anomalies began appearing in Earth's upper atmosphere, shimmering distortions where the laws of physics behaved erratically. The price of survival was a wounded sky, but something unexpected happened 3 days later. A new ship appeared in orbit, smaller than the Voidborn vessels, with a silvery hull that reflected rather than absorbed light. Unlike the invasion fleet, this craft made immediate contact. "This is the diplomatic vessel Harmony," came the transmission. "We represent the Galactic Concord. We detected dimensional disturbances in this sector consistent with prohibited defensive measures against Voidborn harvesters." Elena, now leading Earth's provisional government, responded with caution. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of Earth. We defended ourselves against unprovoked annihilation." There was a pause before the reply came. "The Voidborn are prohibited from harvesting inhabited worlds. Your defense was unexpected and impressive. No species has successfully repelled a Voidborn fleet in over 6,000 years. The revelation stunned humanity's leadership. We're not alone in fighting them. The Voidborn have plagued the galaxy for millennia." The Harmony replied. "They operate outside Concord law. Most civilizations at your development stage are eradicated before they can mount any defense. Your solution was creative." Within days, representatives from the Galactic Concord arrived on Earth. They were not what anyone expected, not the humanoid aliens of science fiction, but creatures of light and geometry that required translation devices to communicate. They explained that the galaxy was divided between the Concord, civilizations that believed in coexistence, and resource-hungry factions like the Voidborn who saw developing worlds as nothing but materials to be harvested. "Your species has earned recognition," the Concord delegate informed Elena, "and protection, though you have demonstrated you have surprising protective capabilities of your own. We can help repair the damage to your world and to space-time caused by your ORPHEUS devices." "And in return?" Elena asked, ever suspicious after what Earth had endured. "Knowledge, innovation. The Voidborn attacked you because they saw only resources. We see potential. Humanity created a defense against the unconquerable using scraps and desperate ingenuity. Such creativity is rare and valuable." In the months that followed, Earth began the long process of rebuilding. The Concord provided technology to repair the environmental damage and heal the wounds in space-time caused by Operation Stardust. Humanity, in turn, joined the interstellar community, not as conquerors or victims, but as innovators who had earned their place among the stars. Elena stood on a platform overlooking the construction of Earth's first true starship, built with Concord assistance but designed by human engineers. It incorporated principles from the ORPHEUS devices, refined, and made safe. The ship was named Stardust Memorial, honoring those who had sacrificed everything. "They miscalculated," Dr. Chan said, joining her at the railing. "The Voidborn. They saw our technology and assumed we were defenseless. A common mistake," added Dr. Petrov, now heading Earth's new physics institute. "They measured our weapons but not our will." Elena nodded, watching the sun glint off the ship's hull. "The universe is more dangerous than we imagined, but also more wondrous." Above them, the sky still occasionally shimmered with the aftermath of humanity's desperate stand, a reminder of both what they had lost and what they had proven. Earth had been wounded, its population decimated, its cities destroyed. But humanity had survived, and in doing so, had announced its presence to the stars not with a whimper, but with a defiance that echoed across the galaxy. The Voidborn had come expecting an easy harvest. They had departed as stardust, their miscalculation complete. And humanity, against all odds, had taken its first true step into a larger universe.